Hello, hello, hello. How are you? I am on the road, but I want to stop and give you a thought for today. And it's about stress. We all have it. But I believe that as a behaviorist, as I watch myself and others, I've come to realize there's about three default behaviors that we have when we are coming up with some stress, when we are in a crisis. We either react or we respond. Yeah. We either just react and blow up and fall into our default behavior. It's just a habit. We're on autopilot. We don't think. We just do the automatic thing we've always done over the years. Or we begin to grow and mature and we respond in a more healthy, more peaceful way. I think that usually when we are coming up against a crisis, a stress, disappointment, death, divorce, disappointments, setbacks, stress. We find ourselves in the unemployment line or divorce court, or we find ourselves with a bad health diagnosis, or our children are just not acting the way we want them to act, or you're having stress on the job, or maybe you are caring for a loved one and you find yourself overwhelmed. There's so many things that could be causing you to have stress right now. And hopefully you'll stick with me for a few minutes and figure out what is your default behavior and can you grow to learn a new way of coping with stress. And I find that either we just go crazy and we overreact, overeat, oversleep, overdrink, oversex, overshop, just do something crazy. We lose control. We just go crazy. We attack others, or we blame others, or we cuss people out, or we just throw in the towel and give up on your relationship, or give up on your child, or give up on your job, or even give up on yourself and just throw your hands up in the air and just like, I can't do this anymore. And it could be something minor like traffic, or it could be, the dishwasher broke, the refrigerator broke down. It could be something like a traffic ticket, or it could be something really major, like losing a loved one or dealing with hurricanes, something really major, a financial setback, losing your job, losing a loved one. We all will go through some type of stress. And the question is, are we going to just go, crazy and lose our mind, lose our faith, lose our way, lose our sense of humor, lose our ability to just see the bigger picture? Or number two, do we learn to just cope? Yeah, just like I got to adapt. I've got to change something. I got to go to plan B. I've got to accept what's happening and I'm going to cope with it. I'm not going to allow it to lose my character, lose my mind, lose my faith. I'm going to cope with this. I don't like it, but I'm going to cope with it. I'm going to find a way to get through this, to grow through this. I'm going to go deeper in my faith. And your faith is like an anchor. And I know one thing about anchors, they have to be heavy and they have to be long and deep, or the ship will float. So your faith has got to be deep and it's got to be strong enough to keep you centered, and so that you just don't go off and lose your way and just float through life lost. We have to learn how to cope. There are going to be things that will happen that we just don't like. It seems unfair. It seems inconvenient. It just seems like this is not the right time. But when we learn to respond and not react, you'll find that your emotional wellness will just begin to grow. There are going to be lots of things coming down the line that you want to begin to learn how to cope. You may not like the policies changing on your job. You may not like how your body is changing. You may not like how your relationships are changing. You may not like a lot of things, but are you willing to cope? Are you willing to adapt? Are you willing to find another way and navigate so that you don't get off track? So you don't lose your sense of purpose. You don't lose your peace of mind. You don't lose your character. You cope. See, now, when you come up against a crisis, you can either just go crazy, blow up. You can learn to cope, or you can learn to create what you want to experience. I think this is the optimum thing to do. I've learned over the years that There were some things that were driving me crazy. There were some things that's like, okay, I can't cope with this. I don't like this. I want to create what I want to create. I want to tap into my spiritual power. I want to tap into the power of my voice, my mind. I want to tap into the power of prayer. I want to tap into the power of visualization. I want to create. You know, it said in the Word of God, God said, let there be. In the beginning was the Word. In the beginning of you creating what you want, you got to speak your word. Your word has got to go forth, and it will not return unto you void. What is the word that you're speaking? Is the word that you're putting out full of anger and strife and worry and defeat? Is the word that you're putting out full of, wow, just frustration, limitation? Or is your word full of manifestation, creating what you want? But also understanding that there's a process once you put your word out there. I remember in the 80s, I did not like where I was working. I just kept saying, you know, God, there's got to be more. This just got to be more. Have you ever said that, Lord, it's got to be more. I can't do this anymore. I want to do something different. And I began to speak my word. I am, you know, anything that comes after I am an in-demand motivational speaker. Now, I was just starting, but I was putting my word out there. And I would speak locally in Southern California, here where I live. And then I began to start speaking, I am national. And then next thing you know, I'm all over the place. Then I began to speak, I am international, before I even had a passport. I was putting it out there. In the beginning is the word. So I laid a foundation of what I wanted to create, what I wanted to experience, who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to have through the power of the tongue, which will either bring life or death. So you can either go crazy, you can cope and accept, or you can create. What is it that you want to experience? In the beginning is the word. You have power. Oh, yeah, you do. I love sharing that with others, activating your power. You know, there are a lot of things, even our smartphones. I can take a picture by just voice activation. I can just say, smile, and it will take a picture. There's a lot of things right now in technology that we use that is activated by our voice, because your voice has power. It is a vibration that goes out. Why don't you voice activate your dream, your destiny? Why don't you voice activate your health, your relationships, your purpose, your children, your grandchildren, this country, this world, your community? Why don't you put your voice out there and vote? Why don't you put your voice out there and speak life to the situations that are frustrating you? Voice activation. Voice, your voice has power. What are you speaking about? What are you talking about? What are you creating? Yeah. If you're stressed right now, speak life over your situation. Speak life over your health. Speak life over your family. Speak life over your career, your job, your business, your ministry. Speak life. And I promise you, if you continue to do that, see, the key is consistency and believing that what you're speaking about will come about. Voice activation is what I'm sharing with you. Create through your voice. Create through what you see, what you do with your hands, what you do with your feet, walking by faith and not by sight. You know, in the 80s, when I started speaking, I was teaching through an organization I created called the Enlightened Circle, and then we evolved to Women on the Grow. But in the 80s, I was teaching treasure mapping. Now we're calling it vision board, but I've been doing that for years, and I still have my visions on paper. I kept them in a book, places I wanted to go, things I wanted to do. do and accomplish. And I've accomplished just about all those things. But one thing I got to share with you, we got to update. It's time for me to update my vision. It's time for me to update my treasure map. It's time for me to update the words that I'm speaking, because I know the power. I know it happens. So don't get frustrated because you think it's not happening fast enough. Because when it comes to technology, it can trick our minds to think all we got to do is push a button and magically you've lost the weight, and magically, you sold your books to millions of people, and magically, your bills are paid off. No, and magically love is going to appear. It is a process. The more you speak it, the more you believe it, the more you can achieve it. It's so real. It is so real. I promise you. I've seen it time and time and time again. I've seen how the law is the law. It is unmutable. It is real. And it doesn't care who uses it. If I go flip on the light switch doesn't know if it's a woman's hand, a man's hand, a black hand, a white hand, a young hand, an old hand. It doesn't care. You just have to know how to flip on the switch. And it works. It's the law. It's a law. If you jump off the building here and you die, you can't say, oh, that's so unfair. It's the law of gravity. It doesn't care who jumps off the building. It's the law of gravity. The law is the law. And when you align yourself with the law, I promise you, you'll begin to manifest. You'll begin to create that which you want to desire. You are a co-creator with the Lord. You are a co-creator. And God gives you the ideas, the imagination, the instincts. God gives you the intuition. But you got to trust it and you got to follow it. And I promise you, when you do, you'll be so glad that you did. And you'll begin to realize that when you experience the downs in life, the stresses in life, when you experience a crisis, you can either react or you can respond. You can go crazy, or you can cope, or you can create. I'm Jewel Diamond Taylor, and I want to thank you in advance for just pushing that share button. Share, share, share. Won't you help me introduce myself and my ministry to others that don't know me yet? Would you hit the share button? Maybe there's someone in your life that you know will benefit from this message. Be sure to visit my website, jeweldiamondtaylor.com, and there you can find out if I'm coming to a city near you. You can listen to hundreds of audio messages that I have on there, video messages, my blog. You can also invite me to come and speak to your conference, your seminar, your church, your retreat, a book signing. We'll be happy to do it. Now, also remember that I host and facilitate and produce through my Women on the Grow many wonderful activities. We have our retreat coming up in October in Malibu, California. Malibu. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. And you deserve it. Don't cheat yourself. Treat yourself to a wonderful experience with me for 2 days, October the 11th and October the 12th in Malibu, California. I'm excited that we're getting registrations from Indianapolis and from Atlanta so far. So come on out and be with me. And also remember that I'm now part of a 4 co-hosts that are hosting a new talk show called The Blend. And I'm so honored to be sitting at the table or on the couch with Gloria, Tabitha, and Peace. We are part of a wonderful new talk show that is launching called The Blend. So you can follow me on that also. And we would be so grateful if you would also share those links with your circle of influence. Thank you so much for watching today. God bless you. And remember to stay in the light.